Alright then guys, what is happening guys? Welcome back to the Adam Donegan YouTube channel. Today guys, we're going to be talking about counselling. Now, basically, I want to talk about, first off, my experience with counselling, um, my history with it, and the fact that I didn't find it actually helpful at all. If not, it actually made me worse. Now, I just want to make this video guys just to talk about my experience, and hopefully this will be a bit of a, I don't know, different type of video that people with mental health struggles can relate to. So yeah, guys, obviously I'm not saying, guys, first off, disclaimer, I'm not saying this is obviously for everyone. Is there, I think therapy and counselling is absolutely integral for, healing mental health challenges and, problems likewise and all that other stuff. I think it is very, very important, first off, to actually talk about, what you've been through and all that. And so, yeah, I do think it is helpful to a degree, to really, in my experience, to really move on from my challenges and not to just sort of just bask in my own misery and my pain and trauma. I want to be able to have the correct steps to move on. And counseling, I just didn't find that to be helpful in terms of that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to just talk about my experience and just got a few notes on you down. So first off, guys, I'm going to talk about how many occasions I actually had counseling. So after I left school because of anxiety issues in 2018, I was 14 years old, and I was having, I was having panic attacks every day. I was having anxiety attacks every day. Seriously, I was very ill at that time. I remember being physically sick just because of how anxious and worried I was, and I had to leave school. I think, yeah, I got referred to this charity and ended up obviously having counselling with that. And I remember distinctly just remembering how little I talked, because after my experiences in school, I didn't talk much at all. I just went massively into my shell. Just to think about that, like my therapist at the time talked more than I did, and you know, um, that isn't right. That isn't right at all. So that was my first experience, and then after that, then I was actually going to be referred for counselling, but then again, but lockdown hit, and then when I went into college, then I basically started having panic attacks again, and then I got referred to counselling again. And with this counselor, she was she was definitely the counselor I had the most history with. I had I would say about a good 6 months of counselling with her once a week, and what I could gather from the phone calls that we had, because it was over the phone, I could never. From having that counselling, I still have the same problems that I did. Obviously, I still had the same problems that I did before counselling, and I remember speaking to her and stuff. And because counselling, the thing with counselling is that they can't actually tell you what to do. They can't actually give you the steps to actually move on. But obviously, they're just there to listen. And I completely I can't speak. I completely understand that to obviously a certain extent. If someone is coping with, trying to cope with a severe loss and they just want to talk about it. I think that's absolutely integral, guys. A talking therapies. I'm not saying they don't work at all. It's just, of course, my experience with this. Of course, I think there is a certain level of how they do help you, but I don't believe it fixes the entire problem. The root core issue. So so basically, with my experience in the counselling, I'm just going to talk about how they push coping strategies on you and try to dig into childhood trauma. First off, let me obviously mention about coping strategies. So I was pushed on to meditation, breathing exercises, exercise, diet, and all those things. It's great. Everybody should obviously be doing them. Um, but in terms of actually anxiety and what I've actually learned, especially from cognitive behavioral therapy, which I should have just had, at the very start. I think, well, obviously, I think therapy at the start just to get my thoughts together and just to, really accept what's happened, and then go on to cognitive behavioral therapy, because only counselling can only go so far. This is the point that I'm trying to make, guys, and Yeah, coping strategies, ultimately, what I've learned is that they keep you stuck because you were still trying to resist the anxiety. You were still trying to um, cope with and cope and manage your anxiety. And so basically, I've said this in another in my last video, where whenever I had a panic attack or an anxiety attack, I didn't sit with the feelings and the emotions and understand that it's gonna go away on its own. And then my nervous system would obviously catch on to that, and then that's going to actually heal my nervous system um, by actually withstanding with it, accepting it, embracing it, and yeah, that's it. But instead, you're constantly pushing the anxiety away, and your resistance to your anxiety is what keeps you stuck in the anxiety cycle. Um, so yeah, that's one reason why it doesn't work. That's one reason why people when they come out of counselling, they still have the issues that they still had. I'm not saying that's for everyone, of course, because it's very different to each individual. Okay, so I want to move on now to childhood trauma. So this is an interesting one, guys, because every single one of us, we all do have a level of very nasty experiences of our childhood, experiences where we were neglected. For some people, they've never had that experience before. Sadly, a lot of people have, and they do. Um, what I've learned from, again, from what I've observed from CBT and everything like that, is that present day treatment and focusing on the present day, not obviously not to say that you can't obviously speak about it and obviously just sort of get off your chest. I think obviously that's what counseling is for, but to really move on from it and just to go back to living is to focus on the here and now, to focus on the practical skills that you need to overcome this. And of course, yeah, it's interesting how and why our nervous systems get sensitized and how we obviously develop anxiety disorders. And it must be from what I've witnessed and from what I've researched, it must be from these experiences because they were so shocking, they were so traumatic, they were so um, I mean, it really shocked our nervous system. And instead of simply embracing it, our default mechanism and coping strategy was to cope. It was to try and obviously try and get away from it. And so that is what's kept the anxiety cycle alive. Yeah, so that's what I want to say about that. And my last point, guys, is that a lot of therapists don't know enough about anxiety. It's just funny. I just recalled actually there's actually 3 occasions where I had counselling. A therapist came to my house a couple of months ago. Um, I would say about half a year ago, maybe 7, 8 months ago, and it was interesting. She, yeah, not obviously counsellors are meant to be nice. She was nice enough. She came into the conservatory and we just started chatting and and all that. And what was it now? Yeah, so basically I talked to her about my experience and stuff, and she could obviously tell that I was suffering quite badly. And again, she pushed coping strategies on me, and again, that's their job, and they obviously she may not know enough about anxiety to again, if she simply understood the mechanics of anxiety, what anxiety really is, that it is simply a stress response, a fight or flight response mechanism that's firing off constantly at an inappropriate time because of sensitive nerves. And instead of just simply sitting with the anxiety, letting it be there, getting comfortable with it, that allows your nervous system to become desensitized. But again, pushing coping strategies on me. And I don't know if this is strange, guys, but she tried like a tap in strategy on me. I'm not making this up, guys. I was sitting in my chair. She was sitting in the chair in front of me, and she came over to me and she started tapping. She obviously asked me, "I'm gonna tap on your collarbone for 1 minute," and so she was doing that. She was tapping on my collarbone, and I don't know what that was. She was. I haven't really done much research into the tapping, but I heard that does something with processing trauma or something like that. But yeah, she did that to me, and it didn't help. So yeah, I am aware that a lot of therapists don't know enough about anxiety, and obviously she was talking about this as well. Again, coping strategies. Coping strategies keep you, from what I've witnessed, observed, and what I have gathered is that all these attempts to make the anxiety goes away, you know, in an attempt for it to obviously go away, it might go away for a short time, but then it comes back. Obviously, guys, to recap this video, the way out of anxiety disorder, nervous illness, as Dr. Claire Weeks puts it. I'm really enjoying this book, by the way. It is, guys, I can't recommend this book enough. I'm literally I'm that way through it already, and I'm not a book reader, and you know what I mean. So this is how relatable it is, and it's really eye opening. But basically, guys, yeah, just to recap this video, guys, that what I've seen and observed, and what's actually working, is that when you simply observe the anxiety as it is, observe it, understand that it's not there, don't ignore it. When a panic or feeling of panic or anxiety comes on you, observe it, embrace it, and Dare Anxiety. There's a company called Dare. Go if you go on YouTube and search it up. But I mean, they are amazing. They're really fantastic, and they talk about observe, embrace, and then demand more. Which is, I know it sounds crazy. Absolutely sounds crazy. But when you actually demand more, it obviously gives in obviously this attitude of acceptance. And obviously, as I said before, and what people are saying in CBT is that acceptance is the backbone to recovery for anxiety sufferers. Don't run away from panic. Accept it, observe it, demand more, and as you do that, you become comfortable with the anxiety. And again, you're not giving the anxiety any meaning anymore. You're not trying to run away from it anymore. You're not coping anymore. You're simply observing it, embrace it, demand more, and then it goes away, and then bang, that's like a rep for your nervous system healing. It is. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. But anyway, guys, I hope you have. I hope you I can't even speak. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I've definitely enjoyed making it. I'm very open to if you guys have any thoughts that you would like to put down in the comment section below. This is it is a contentious topic, and all this, and I understand that. I do feel, of course, with my experiences, that I'm very self-aware to really discuss this topic in detail, and to be sensitive about the topic, because it is a sensitive topic. So yeah, guys. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And yeah, Adam Donegan out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out.